speaker, Dr. Ananta Singh Raghuvanshi. She is well-known real estate lead, and she is currently Senior Executive Director of Experian Developers. And I browsed a lot in the new sites of Experian, the videos, everything. The Millennium Suman promotion. That's excellent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she is also like a guide to women entrepreneur and holds 35 awards, accolades. So over to you, Dr. Raghuvanshi. Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. So, very good morning to all of you there in Cambridge.
Yes.
And I think a very good evening to all the people who are going to be seeing it in India. My topic for the day today is the banyan tree, leadership Seedingstem. And the reason why I chose the banyan tree is because banyan tree, I think world over, is symbolic of enlightenment. The Mahabodhi tree of enlightenment, 2500 years young, timeless. This tree is symbolic in a certain way of STEM as well, whether it is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, including inventions and discoveries, because everything comes from enlightenment. It also reinforces our belief that anything is possible. How, what, where, when. As we all know, the world has shrunk, and thanks to STEM, and more importantly, Seedingstem, I think all of us, all 11 here, are from different countries and are from different continents, and I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of this discussion, which is so exciting. That we all are coming from different areas and different skill sets and pulling it together to make the world a little better than what it was before. So very grateful to Seedingstem for having invited me over here. This leadership talk at Cambridge was scheduled to be held in person. We really miss that feeling of being together at an 811-year-old campus. I have heard my father say sometimes that he's a senior Cambridge from St. Columbus, New Delhi, and I was very, very excited to visit. I'm now looking forward to visiting you all in May. And an institution which has given 117 Nobel laureates and 14 British prime ministers. I am very confident that with Seedingstem, and earlier I think the first question I was asked here was, am I on the moon? I really feel so. I think we are going to be doing good work together and make sure that great stuff keeps coming out of Seedingstem. Why is it exciting? There was so much of knowledge even then, 811 years back. And today, again, the best minds have kind of collected there. A gathering of decorated, beautiful STEM scientists here. I am from the Eastern world, and I represent the infrastructure and reality universe, which is completely STEM dependent. I have 3 decades of work in VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in tough market conditions. How? 0% manager, 100% leader. That's just been my motto lifelong. Year 2020, that's where we are now. So rest is all history. We move to the present. It has exposed our physical vulnerability, emotional complexity, economic fragility, and also the global synchronicity, where this World Wide Web has brought us together in the forms of a problem we are facing together, which is COVID-19. Most important, the fact that we did not learn from some of the mistakes of the past. The disruption that has been caused by this global pandemic and navigating the transition, the work on the vaccine, or whether it is digitization, or whether it is communicating in this newfound manner, we are completely being driven by STEM. Without science, technology, electronics, and mathematics, we would have collapsed as a planet. So what? I think now the time has come for us to wear a mask. I'll plunge straight into the task. We really need to think of the world as one big banyan tree. The ethical leaders are the root and the shoot. Stem are the seed and feed. The parasitic horn and coot are sitting on top of it, nicely perched. Now we don't care two hoots. 5 months of lockdown, we don't care two hoots. Let's give this pandemic the boot. And there it goes. One globe, one ecosystem. And this ecosystem will thrive and survive by just seeding stem. That is all we need to do. And why again am I going back to that banyan tree? There's this tree in Calcutta. Nobody wants it to grow that much. It was seeded 250 years ago. It has 3772 stems coming down. They say it's the tree that walks. It's the revolution which has started, which is not being contained, cannot be contained. It has occupied 19,000 square meters of precious space in the heart of the city. That is the type of stuff that we have to create, a revolution which kind of just spreads, where everybody is thinking of seeding stem and moving on. A symbol of growth, strength, flourishing, thriving, supporting. Even nature can inspire leadership in STEM. What is STEM? STEM are the 4 pillars of any great nation, ancient or modern. What are these pillars sitting on? They are sitting on the strength of the leadership. How strong are these scientists in terms of leadership skills will decide which direction STEM is eventually going to be headed. Are we improving lives? Are we creating scares? Are we creating things which we cannot handle going forward? What are we planning to do with these 4 pillars resting on leadership? What are the desirable qualities of a STEM leader? S, of course, goes without saying, even a child knows: scientific and creative acumen. Curiosity. Metanoia is needed. A transformative change is needed. Holistic thinking approach is needed. It's a combination of science and art, which is required to inspire and initiate. So what kind of a leader is this? A thinker leader. There are so many. We can find them. There are thinker leaders. Einstein was one, 1879 to 1955, 300 scientific works, relativistic cosmologist, perihelion advance of Mercury, astonishing work, genius. But it doesn't stop there. After S comes T. And what does T do for us? Thirst, thrust, and trust. There has to be an insatiable hunger for doing good, combined with the confidence to achieve the results. Dedicated towards development and progress of mankind. What is the goal? To improve lives. So, along with being a thinker leader, the guy needs to be a service leader as well. Whom can we think of? Thomas Alva Edison, 1847 to 1931. What did he do? 1093 US patents. Influenced lives globally. Motion picture camera, phonograph, electric light bulb. Do we have one today? Is there one Thomas Alva Edison in the world? Can we see him? We have to create him. We have to find him. We have to spark that metanoia. In the modern world, of course, we can't undermine what has been done. There are examples. And one of those examples of creativity and STEM, my God, the Palm Islands, Dubai. What a fantastic example. Closer to your home, the Channel Tunnel, UK to France, underwater. We are still doing great work, but we can do greater work. We cannot stop at this. So S and T, and then we come to E. And E is difficult to find. In scientists, nothing is impossible, of course. STEM rests on that premise, but it is difficult to find. And this E is emotional intelligence. Intelligence is of no value if it does not combine with persistence, resilience, brilliance, devoid of vices. What are these vices? Ego, greed, jealousy, pride. This leader has to avoid catachresis in scientific thought. So in a certain way, a spiritual leader, right?
Yeah.
I can give you one example. APJ Abul Kalam, scientist and the 11th president of India. The simplicity with which he lived his life, it is unbelievable. 2 sets of clothing, 1 bag of books. That was his world. Because the entire world was right here. Intellect, creativity, service. One of the most loved presidents of India. M. Now, everything that is there, but the last mile is always the toughest, and that's the management capability. The vision and execution prowess. Lovely ideas come, lovely interests are created, lots of experiments happen, lots of funding also is managed, but then the execution comes into place. And what is needed there? I mean, we can create infrastructure, engineering marvels, everything. Now, tautology in science and pleonasm in engineering and electronics doesn't help at all. We have, unfortunately, on our hands today, failed to avoid 2.64 crore people from being infected by COVID, and even sadder, 8.7 lakh lives, precious lives, have been lost to a germ which can just be washed away with soap and water. But it has washed away almost 8.7 lakh lives. And every day a number flashes as though those lives don't matter, and it is ticking daily. We need dedicated leaders who use STEM R&D to improve physical and mental health at all populations. Now, he has to be disciplined, taskmaster, role model. National peace and security is paramount for world peace. We need world peace to be able to do all this creativity. Need is of socially ethical and morally responsible scientists come administrators. So in a way, this guy becomes a feared leader in a good way, because he's creating lovely stuff, but he also ensures that it is used only for the right purposes. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, said that there are no failures in science. And in what context did he say that? He said that when our ISRO chief, our science research organization chief, publicly broke down, when we lost contact with the Vikram lander, the ground station lost contact with the Vikram lander, and he had worked so hard for it, and he broke down completely and it was on national television. What did our Prime Minister do? He gave him a hug like a mother, and he spoke like a father, and he said, "Hold your head high, sir. You have achieved the unthinkable. India is with you and your team." That is the kind of leader we need. Closer now, again, coming back to where we are today, there is a marvel that has been constructed called the Rohtang Tunnel. 500 kilometer distance. For thousands of years, people were walking just 40 kilometers. It has got reduced to 40 kilometers. One little idea of STEM changes the lives of generations. Now, how are these leaders going to be created? And now I will wish you a very happy Teachers' Day, because the onus lies on our responsible academicians. Because there can be the 4 pillars of STEM, there can be the leadership base, but the foundation is created by the teachers. A tree with strong roots laughs at storms. Most STEM winners are obviously intelligent, creative. They are born with the above leadership attributes, goes without saying, but few acquire it during their journey. Today, we celebrate Teachers' Day. The academicians hold a moral responsibility of cultivating and nurturing ethical scientists. How are they going to do this? Just by thinking every seedling matters. Just raise the bar for them. Every seed will sprout if cared for. What is the second thing we can do? Our goal in our head, if it is to see the skies from the sky, start seeing stars on our beloved Mother Earth. And how will we do that? For girls in science, we've got to get them now. The time is now. And there is a befitting role model in Marie S. Curie. 2 Nobel Prizes, first female professor at University of Paris, radioactivity theory, discovery of radium and polonium. Where are all those bright girls? Even if we were to see Seedingstem, even if we were to walk into any university, just see the ratio. They're a minority everywhere. And the last thing, which I personally believe, is the ability to get back on the horse. This has to start in childhood. And I'll go back to Mr. Thomas Edison. He tried 1,000 times to develop a light bulb which worked. And what did he say at the end of it? I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. What a beautiful thought. What a beautiful way to think of failure as a journey to success. And eventually he got it. So nurturing that attitude of optimism and persistence and patience, I think, is something which we will be depending heavily on academicians. I'm so happy and so proud that so many here are scientists come academicians. And my deepest respects and regards to you all, sirs. But the good leadership has to invest this patience in creating diamonds. My sentence for that, favorite sentence for that is mutation through motivation. You get coal, put it under pressure, subject it to fire, and you give out diamonds. And this journey just continues. And it is such a rewarding journey of mutation through motivation. However, we cannot blame the scientists for anything. They are doing their best. Speed, commitment, funds are needed. And this black COVID darkness has got tediously prolonged. There is lots of catching up to do. There is help required on all fronts. Yes, STEM is making our life better. Science, of course, we need you for COVID-19 and to deal with all those locusts. Technology, day-to-day life, we need you to handle those earthquakes, disasters, and cyclones. Engineering, we need you to deal with the floods and fires for us. Maths, we are in a tattered economy. Save us. We want to create an orchard of harmony. Seedingstem has to harness the full intellectual potential of our populations. Alan Kay said, and I'm quoting, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And I'm glad that we are taking the baby steps towards that. I would like to invite all of you to come and see a live example of this, of creating the future. It's an iron pillar, 1600 years old, a metallurgical wonder at the Qutub complex in India, Delhi. Arthur C. Clarke said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." There is a 5,000-year-old stepwell in Dholavira in India, which has been discovered. Once again, it will be a delight for you to come and see what was being done 5,000 years back and to imagine what would be there 5,000 years from now. What are we going to leave behind for people to see and appreciate 5,000 years forward? I have now gravitated to my favorite subject, which is infrastructure, reality, buildings. So I would jump straight into it, advanced construction materials for smart buildings. The last decade has done extensive STEM progress in infrastructure sector. And I'm really proud to be a little part of that infrastructure sector for the last 3 decades. Smart revolution adopted very fast. Why? Tangible benefits to the users, tremendous relevance to everybody. A structure which can adapt to changing environment is smart. Smartness is achieved by utilizing these smart materials. Sustainability model to withstand adverse environment, especially earthquake and hurricane prone zones. What are we trying to create? With intelligent material, active material, adaptive material. What are these types of material and what are we looking for in them? Tensile strength, flexibility, conductivity. So there are shape memory alloys which help us for seismic protection. There are magnetorestrictive materials which are helping us with tunnels. There are piezoelectric materials which are producing voltage when the surface strain is introduced. It is amazing how much work has been done just in a decade. There are electrogeological fluids. What do these interesting fluids do? They are shock absorbers. They are colloidal suspensions. Fantastic. But the magic, we spoke a little while ago about creating magic and leaving behind what? Not fantasies, but a fantastic world. And that turnaround has happened with nanotechnology, which is really exploring the building envelopes. And how? Suddenly from energy waster to energy producer, we are using renewable energies, we are using advanced insulating materials, fibers are being reinforced, aerogel blankets are being used, vacuum insulated panels are being used, thermal bridge reduction is happening, which is also doing wonders in the infrastructure where bridges are being done, where all those roads and highways are being done. We are maximizing luminous transparency. What does that mean? Self-cleansing. Isn't that fantastic? People don't have to wear a harness and be climbing up and down the building and imagining they're Spider-Man and then risks and accidents. Self-cleansing, anti-reflective glazing. We are also using smart concrete in today's time. What does this do? It enhances strength, gives longevity. And of course, science just goes on and on and on, and there's something called electro osmosis. And electro osmosis is this beautiful thing which does consolidation in clay where there are high swell shrink natures. So especially in the coastal areas, especially in the delta areas, particularly in India, the entire geography is so different. 100 kilometers, your weather changes, the topography changes, everything changes. So all these things are literally a blessing. So are we stopping here or are we moving on further? No, we are doing something else also. What are we doing? Okay, let me give you a hint. Try a guess. Well, this is a stem of a different type. I don't think we want this. Okay, let this work as your hint. What is this? No, it hasn't dried up yet. Okay. We are being very smart. We are not just moving forward, we are moving in all directions. We are moving backward as well to ancient materials. We are bringing them back to life. We are using straw. We are using straw in stem. No, not the stem. Actual stem. How are we using and why are we using? We are using it because it's durable. It's eco-friendly. It is relevant to smart buildings. The walls provide twice more insulation capacity to reduce fuel bills up to 90%. Lowest carbon footprint. In fact, carbon negative because it absorbs CO2. So we are doing all of this. So we are moving backwards. Is there anything that we can be really proud of which we did in the past where we actually used all this? There is something called as alluring ellora. It's a monolithic structure, vertical excavation, Kailasha temple. Beautiful piece of architecture, beautiful piece of STEM, a must visit for everybody, especially those interested in infrastructure, reality. Is there anything else we are doing? From straw, where do we move? Transparent wood composite. Timber architecture is also exploding. The work in timber architecture is absolutely admirable. Why? Better insulation than glass, stronger, biodegradable, and also the buildings look beautiful, like a piece of art. So we are using timber architecture as well. Now, in a certain sense, we are talking of creating smart buildings, doing smart construction by using smart material. It is definitely a higher construction cost, but a lower operational cost. So the trade-off is between a higher construction cost and a lower operational cost. But the advantages are tremendous. There is earthquake protection, there is structural distress safety, there is corrosion prevention, there is reinforcement in infra projects prevention, temperature stresses can be very well handled. The Boston Consulting Group estimates that the value of intelligent building market will go up to 339 billion US dollar by 2022. We are almost knocking at 2022. To share some amazing masterpiece examples with you, it would be unfair to end this session without talking about them. One, the Deloitte headquarter, 30,000 sensors, rightfully called the Edge at Amsterdam. It is generating data and it is also creating opportunities for application of artificial intelligence. Extremely wonderful creation. The second one, which is called the smartest building in the world by none other than Intel, is PTK1 building in Israel. It's one of the smartest buildings in the world, and it is beautiful, smart building using smart materials, something that our generation can be proud of, and we can create more such. I think I'm grateful to you for giving me a patient hearing. I think more in summer of 21. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Dr. Raghuvanshi. Thank you very much. The talk was exactly as I expected. Raghuvanshi is actually a very big country head, and she is the lead. And I've seen her videos, and she's addressing the big audience. That's excellent. I will just conclude in my edited video more on this, and especially for you said that the women in STEM. So we conduct every year Women in Health lecture series. So that's exactly, yeah. So we are doing, and even in the West, several campuses are celebrating. So before I move on to Professor Asif Ahmed, so I would like to just welcome from Cambridge University, Professor Matthias. Matthias has been very much helpful since day one. He said, "Oh, Shah, go on, I am with you." So otherwise, yeah, it was difficult. And then we have Major Shah. We will listen to him also. Then we have again serial entrepreneur, Mr. Wasim Qazi.